All right, boys. Well, this is SANDCAST Beach Volleyball with Bourne and Travis Mewhirter, and we're going kind of off the sand for this one, but kind of not. I mean, TJ DeFalco has been playing pretty high level indoor for a while, and then popped in for a celebrity appearance at the Manhattan Open, and pretty dang good too. It was good to see you back on the beach, Tej.
Yeah, man, it felt good, but felt super weird at the same time. But it was just a great time all around being out there again.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the SANDCAST, but also to the beach. Even though we all know we're losing you back to indoor right away, which is probably a smart call. I don't know what kind of contracts you're getting, but by the way that I've seen you play, I'm sure that it's pretty nice going overseas.
Well, upsides and downsides. Definitely living abroad for 8 to 9 months is not usually the first pick people want to go for, but contracts are tasty, so that keeps the motivation up.
Yeah.
Great. And now, I mean, you're leaving for Poland pretty soon, right? I mean, you're in Idaho right now with family, and then when do you head out for Poland?
Hopefully not before the end of this week, but could be in the next 3, 4, 5 days.
Jeez, that's such a quick turnaround.
Yeah. But I don't understand the whole setup schedule for the summer for USA Volleyball, the national team. Just you got 2-week break and then right back in. It's just it's a grind, and I totally understand the people's perspectives when they're like, I need a summer off, or I need a off season for some sort of downtime just to get away from volley for a little bit, because the people that have done this for 12, 13 years just nonstop. There's no off season for the national team and indoor or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I totally understand it.
Yeah. I was talking to Micah Ma about that, because Delaney and Zana, they've played together a lot this year. And he was like, bro, I just needed a few months just to not play and beat myself up playing volleyball. And I mean, he was like in competition for that setter spot, and he's like, I need some time.
Yeah. And I definitely supported his decision with that, because I feel it. I'm right there with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it was nice for me. I didn't get any of the big offers to go to the big league, so I was in Puerto Rico, and that was that 3. I don't know if they have Puerto Rico right now, if foreigners are allowed, but it's 3-month seasons. So I went over for 3 months, did my thing, surfed a bunch, and then came back and played some beach. That was kind of the gig, but not if you're trying to get paid well. So I would have been here.
That sounds I'm not sure about Puerto Rico, but I know they have some very similar in like the some of the Asian leagues. Some of the Asian leagues are 3-4 months, something like that.
Yeah.
But then their off season is 2 weeks, and then they go another 3-4 months. So it's kind of the same kind of deal. But I wish they had that kind of stuff nowadays.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, kind of be able to get the best of both worlds would be nice.
Yeah.
What's kind of the appeal? Like, I always, I know a little bit about it, but what's the big appeal of playing for the national team? You like you mentioned, there's guys who have come back every year after all these long, grueling contracts and straight onto the national team. Like, do you need it? Is the money good? Do you need it to get new contracts? Or I mean, everyone wants to be on the national team, but it seems like don't throw that opportunity. Micah did.
Yeah. The national team is used for a couple of different things. Like the stigma around being on the national team is huge. The ability to play for your country is a big motivator and a big driving force in the people's decisions to play volleyball for the national team. However, it is a huge driving force for better contracts. Everybody watches the national team. Everybody watches VNL. Everybody watches the World Championships, the Olympics, all that kind of stuff. And they know if you're on the national team, they know your name. And so that propels you to higher contracts and all that kind of stuff. But then the money is not, you have to do well in the national team to get a good, decent amount of money, which is purely based on the other team and performance and whatnot. But that propels the individual for getting much higher contracts. So it's like one builds off the other and the other way around.
Totally.
So,
yeah, I feel you.
Another thing, because of the national team, you don't have that long at all to train for with that team.
Right.
Having a good pro season kind of puts you in a better position when you come back to the national team for that spot or in that position. So it works at both ends.
Interesting. Yeah. So SPRA and Fuerbs and those guys are kind of keeping an eye on you throughout the year to see how you guys are progressing and whatnot.
Yep. They sometime before COVID, they used to send Fuerbs would every once in a while book a trip out and come visit a bunch of guys throughout maybe Italy, Germany, something like that.
Right.
But not with COVID, but they would, or now they just follow metrics, all those matches and watch and kind of keep updates and send you little notes here and there and just be like, hey, checking in, all that kind of stuff. So throughout the whole pro season.
Wow. That's interesting. Very cool.
Yeah.
That's got to be a tough adjustment to make, going from playing from your team, you were in Italy for a while, and then just like jumping back with U.S. national team, a couple weeks of prep, and then you're playing VNL. Like what's that transition like, just going from like club to national team back to club again?
Yeah, it's you definitely need more than 2 weeks, but sometimes that's all you get.
Yeah.
So that's why, when it gets closer to those years of big importance, like an Olympic year or a world championship year, some of those guys plan strategically their contracts. Like before Rio, Anderson and Christensen linked up on the same team because it was like, I'd much rather have as many reps as possible throughout the year and then jump into VNL or jump into the VNL and Olympic year.
Okay.
With having 9 months of reps with Micah.
Right.
So that's a huge plus. But sometimes not everybody has the opportunity to do that. And so you get to crush as many reps as you can in the 2.5 weeks, whatever you got, to get back as close to rhythm as you were at the end of the last summer.
God, that's crazy. That seems like it's so fast.
Yeah, it is. It's totally, and especially if you're going from maybe like a lower level, semi-decent setter, to then transitioning to Micah is totally different. So it's a big change, but that's kind of the one of the things you got to get used to.
Yeah.
Been this for 10, 12 years.
That's probably something that, can drive you crazy, can really like impact your career in a huge way. Cause like I said, I played in Puerto Rico, right? And I had the Puerto Rican national team setter on my team. We were connecting really well. He takes a contract overseas, middle of season, and the French setter comes in and he can't set like a quick set. His hands are like paused in his hands, and there was like a weird hitch there. So he'd rather set a higher D ball or whatever. And I just couldn't connect with him. So my game went fully downhill once this guy showed up. I ended up getting fired for Riley Salmon. And, so I'm like, damn, dude, like a setter can make or break your career in a lot of ways. Cause like you said, you got your coaches, national team watching you play pro as well. So if, your season kind of falls apart, you get fired, it's not looking great for you.
Yeah, that's a tough situation especially with setters, because setters are so important. But then hopefully what your coaches know is they understand that as well, because most of the time coaches have been players or in the past or understand a little bit of that mindset.
Yeah, that's
but yeah, that's rough.
Well, yeah, whatever. At least it was my first year or two, and I was surfing every day. So I was more of a pro surfer out there than anything.
Just living the life. It's great.
Yeah, it was not bad at all.
So the first indoor volleyball match I ever watched was the national championship when Long Beach played UCLA, and you guys won. You went down 0-2 and then won 3-2. Yeah. And you seem to obviously, like, you were like a transcendent talent at the college level, but you transitioned really well, like really fast. You made the Olympic roster like pretty soon after. What was that transition like from, like, what's the jump from college to the professional level like in indoor volleyball?
What was nice is I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to be in the national team gym since I was a senior in high school. So I was kind of got a little bit of taste of what they can do, what the talent, the whole IQ, everything that they process in a split second. And it's just totally, it was miles ahead of high school. But then even when I finally got to college and got to get into that, developing the mindset and the IQ and the decision-making time, it was much higher than that still, but it was catching up. My game was, catching up and going through that process and stuff. But then transitioning from college to professional was like tremendous, like jump, because it's totally different. Like, especially going right to Italy, best league in the world. You like, my second match of my pro career was against Leon. That guy is just mind blown. Like you never see a volleyball player like him ever again. And so I'm, fresh out of college, whatever. It was by the end of my college career, it was kind of slowing down. The game was slowing down for me because of the opportunity I had in the national team gym. But then hopping right into professional was just like I always felt like a kid again. Just like I got to relearn how to do all these stuff. I got to get all these different shots and ways to kill a ball in my repertoire. Totally different than what it was in college. And so it was like learning how to play volleyball again, just at a different speed, different level of processing.
Yeah. And I talked to Tyler Hildebrand. I remember when I did a story on you a couple years ago, I think maybe your senior year at Long Beach. And one of the things that Tyler Hildebrand talked about was how fast of a learner you are. And just like how quick you can pick things up. And he said that's like something that you can't really teach someone to learn as fast as you do. What do you think helps you pick things up at a quick level? Because obviously you like you said, that jump is pretty big from college to pro, but you made the jump. And, you were starting on the Olympic team in 2021 and hitting the BIC as good as anybody in Tokyo.
I think one of the biggest things for me and to help me in that regard was I was watching Keurig, I was watching Kubiak, I was watching Jiba, all those huge names back in before I was even playing high school volleyball.
Yeah.
And I continue watching video. And as soon as I got into those, when I was in high school, my senior year of high school, I was passing next to Reid Priddy in the off season. And so kind of immersing myself in all that stuff. And I was asking him questions, what do you do in this and this situation and all this kind of stuff. And so I just took in as much information as I possibly could, still do. And I'm still like that, where I'm a sponge for anything that anybody's willing to throw at me. Yeah. And I reevaluate that for my own mind and how would I do that for myself? Yeah. And so I've been, I think, really good about taking, from anybody that knows anything about volleyball, just taking something in and transforming it into my own way of doing it. Yeah.
What's the culture in the US gym like? Because like you mentioned, you were asking Reid Priddy questions. And I know that Reid seemed to be like a total team guy when he was on the national team, but still it's like pretty cutthroat because that's a pretty small roster for a country that's really deep in talent. Whereas on the beach, like if Try's asking Jake Gibb for blocking tips, like unless you're playing in Tokyo with him, he's not giving them to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we got some.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure everybody kind of knows the dynamic of the team changes year to year, quad to quad, coaching staff to coaching staff, because that's a big thing. Just the head of the whole culture kind of, if it's a little bit more lax from the head, then it kind of everybody else kind of decides what they want to do. And then the team atmosphere in 2009, I've heard after the 2008 gold medal was totally different than 12 and 16 and then now 21.
Okay.
Just because of the veteran status of that team. Everybody knew what they were doing at the best level. Yeah. So it was a hard position to be the head coach or a young guy coming into that situation, because it was like, okay, these guys know how to do it. They know how to do it, and everybody else knows they know how to do it. Where is the room for like a young guy like me who's in freaking high school coming in and asking questions? And thankfully Reid was one of the best about it, and he was the one telling me to ask and me to kind of get out of my shell with that kind of stuff, because I'm not, coming into that gym, by no means am I going to be like, hey, what do you do about this, and teach me how to do this, all that kind of stuff, and step in and be all that egotistical. There's no shot I'm going to do that. But he was very, very cordial with the young guy, because he knew that there was going to be some nerves and all that kind of stuff there. I'd say that year was probably the most difficult with trying to surf that, try to navigate those waters. Yeah. But then after that, when the young guys started coming in, and then in 2016, it was the youngest roster we ever sent to the Olympics, was younger. And so there was a lot more of the understanding of the rookie or the younger guy, the new type of mindset to that. So the culture has gotten a lot better with understanding that. And that's huge for all these young guys that get to come in and, kind of find their grips a little bit and kind of figure out this process for themselves. Yeah.
It's crazy, because like I'm hearing you talk about it. I'm like, you're talking about yourself as the young guy, like years ago, and like not meant, and people within volleyball understand that you've been in the gym for that many years, but from the outside it's looking like you're the young guy right now. But like your mindset and like the way you're thinking about it is like, no, like I've been here. I understand how it works. Not necessarily a veteran, but to the pro game. But it makes sense that you're starting, in the Olympics kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas some people might just see it like, oh, he just showed up and starting in the Olympics. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of interesting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I kind of mean about because there's a difference between being a rookie and being the young guy.
Yeah,
right. For my mindset, because I'm very much the youngest guy on the team, but I'm not the rookie on the team. There's a couple other guys that have kind of made their way in and kind of filled those spots as needed. But I am the youngest guy for sure.
That's funny. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of a little bit about of myself, because I was like the young guy when it came to the top 3 or 4 teams, right? With Phil and Jake and Nick and Rosie and all those guys. And Hayden, obviously, is my partner, 17 years older. So I was the young guy, but I kept getting older, and like creeping up in my 30s. But these guys aren't retiring. So I still feel like the young guy.
Yeah.
But then now there's this whole generation behind me to where I'm like the young guy to these guys, but I'm the old guy to them. And it's
an interesting spot to be in.
I like it. I like the old guys hanging around so that I can still feel young.
There you go.
When they retire, I'm gonna get old really quick.
Yeah, it's gonna hit you all at once.
Exactly.
You've been the up and comer for like 8 years, Try. But TJ, like, what a cool opportunity for you though. High schooler coming into the gym, and Reid Priddy, like one of the best outsides on the U.S. national team, is like, hey man, like anything you want to ask, I got you. I mean, that had to have been a pretty cool moment for you, because like that's an intimidating thing to walk into, and then you get one of the best outsides to ever play for the U.S. and he's like, I got you. That's pretty awesome.
It was, you couldn't imagine. It's the first practice. I'm sitting there like this, like getting ready to pass. I couldn't even focus on where the ball was coming. And it was just awful. And then he saw that and was just like, dude, it's all good. We're all here in this building for a reason. Just take a couple of deep breaths. And that helped me just kind of settle in. It's like, I want to be like that guy. If I get to the point where I'm the older guy or the veteran, whatnot, that's how I want to treat the younger generations, because that was so much better and developmental for my mindset and my kind of path, as opposed to him saying no or just like kind of shoving me away. Like what would be totally understandable for a veteran to do in that situation. The young guy's in here, he's 17 and a half years old. What the heck is this guy doing in here? Why is he passing next to me, kind of thing, and that's totally understandable. You can't tell the guy he's wrong for that.
Right.
But the way that he handled it was one of the stepping stones for me to get to where I am now.
Yeah. That's a hell of a call to get. How did you get into the gym as a senior in high school? I don't know a whole lot about how the indoor pipeline works, but that seems like you were pretty young to be getting in the national team gym.
Yeah, I was very young. That was when I made the preliminary, which is like the 35.
Okay.
So the big roster, which they take everything from. And that was, I don't remember who, I think it was connections with Alan, I believe.
Okay.
Because Alan just finished with the team and was now at Long Beach, and I had already committed to Long Beach. So he kind of did some talking and was like, hey, and then it was also Fuerbs was there. No, Fuerbs wasn't there. I don't really remember, but one of the coaches called me because I was in the pipeline and all the doing all the youth stuff and everything like that. So they're like, hey, if you want to come in and come to some of the early practices before the team got back from their pro contracts and everything like that.
Yeah. Come
in and we'll have some practices. We'll work on your schedule, kind of blah, blah, blah. I was like, absolutely. That sounds incredible. Yeah.
What about oh, sorry, go Trav.
No, go ahead, Try.
No, I was gonna say, what about this swag I see, I feel like I haven't gotten to watch too much, watched in college a little bit, but you got this confidence to yourself, like crazy confidence, considering that you're the youngest on the national team, and then you starting in the Olympics all of a sudden. You think a lot of that came from your national team experience, but is that just naturally TJ DeFalco, or is that like I've put in my time and I'm gonna, wear that confidence on my sleeve kind of thing? Because I could see it.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. On the beach.
I mean, I'm saying I could see that swag on the beach, that confidence.
Yeah. I think it stems from my training. Because I'm a big believer in muscle memory, and when it gets super nervous or the brain's going a million miles an hour, it's just my safe or like fallback is to just kind of detach a little bit and just let my body do what it knows how to do.
Mm.
And in those moments in the first game of the Olympics, don't really remember much of the first match because of the nervousness, the stigma that the team put on the first match coming into the Olympics. All of a sudden, it's not as big as it was talked up to be because there's no fans in a 20,000 person building. It's us. We have to make our own noise, like all that stuff. And then all of a sudden I get there and it's like, okay, I'm a little nervous, but I also know how to play volleyball down to my core. So I kind of let that take over every once in a while. And that is what people see as the confidence is like, I know how to do this. I've done this reps. I've ran the big route 13,000 times in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I've passed this ball 5,000 times. And I know, so like, I know the muscle memory how to do it. Just do it. Just the body knows how to do it. And so that's kind of my thing is that I rely on, that's how I train.
Love it.
And you have no shortage of reps. I mean, you've been playing volleyball for a pretty long time. Was that like, has volleyball always been something that you've played, or did you pick it up a little bit later? Because you grew up in Missouri, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Missouri, and my first sport was actually golf.
Okay.
Interesting. Played a little, was exposed a little bit to volleyball back in Missouri, but it didn't really hit the ground until we moved to California when the Wi-Fi cellular wave was hitting, and my dad moved into a company that was going to do jobs for Verizon and Sprint and AT&T and all that kind of stuff. So we moved to California, and that's when my sister started playing club. And so I was a little kid that I would bring my own ball and hit the ball against, like, the bounce, hit it against the wall for the entirety of every single practice. So my arm probably has 100,000 swings on it because I would just sit there and do that for 3 hours every night, like 4 times a week. And so that's how I kind of fell in love with it, kind of watching the game, being exposed to it, being a little kid. I wasn't old enough to stay at home. And then, yeah, it kind of started from there. I started club when I was 11, 12, something like that.
Okay.
So a lot of years.
Yeah. You picked it up fast. So, I mean, to go from picking it up at 12 to getting invited to the national team gym at 17, that's a steep learning curve. So I'm assuming that were the Olympics, did they come into the dreams or kind of big goals pretty early on then?
Actually, no, I didn't even think about playing pro or playing professional until about my sophomore year of college.
Really?
It was just playing the sport because I loved it and I had a good support base around it and knew a bunch of guys from it. It was fun. And didn't even think about it until Alan brought me into his office one day. I was like, so what are we going to think about pro? I was like, I haven't thought about it at all. Not even close on my mind. I'm just here playing volleyball because I love it, you know? And that's when that thought kind of crept in. I was like, maybe I can do the national team thing and then kind of maybe, you know, who knows? Why not? You know, and that's kind of how it was. It was like, why not? Let's just try to see how far we can go.
Yeah. And it's working out pretty well so far.
Doing pretty well so far.
Not bad. So how did so you moved to California? Where did you guys move to?
We moved out about 45 minutes east of Temecula.
East?
So pretty far inland.
Whoa, crazy.
Yeah.
So did you have any exposure to beach volleyball? Or when did you first play beach?
Yeah, beach was actually my first thing that I was into. When I was 11, we met the Tuanigas family out in some random park. We drove by one day. My family went to like like YMCA open gym kind of thing. They talked for 20 minutes. Like, hey, yeah, come on, we're going to do a beach training kind of thing. And Josh and I, that's when me and Josh met. Josh and I were playing beach tournaments down in Ocean Beach, down there in San Diego and all that kind of stuff when we were 11 and 12.
Okay.
We came and won the Kyle Cup and all that kind of stuff because we were a foot taller than everybody in the league. So it worked out pretty well.
Okay. Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
And what you said, that was what you did first, like before you even started playing indoor?
Yeah. So I got exposed to the beach, all young, kind of seeing what it's worth to going out, having fun with the families on the weekend kind of thing. And then when I was 13, got on my first club team down at Wave Volleyball down in San Diego.
Gotcha.
And by that time, the Tuanigas had moved back up to Long Beach and then Huntington and area. And then from there, we just kind of followed them around. They kind of dragged us to club tryouts, all that kind of stuff, and was played with him ever since.
Oh, no way. Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I didn't realize that.
So you've always played with a pretty good setter.
Yep. Been very fortunate on that front.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that you and Josh have been playing together for that long. I obviously knew that you guys played at Long Beach and had a pretty special connection, but I didn't know it went all the way back to you were 11 and 12. That's awesome.
Yeah. We played on the same team since we were for 13 years.
Jeez. How's he doing on the national team? I know that he was on, I don't really know like the different tiers, but I know that he is on the national team at some level, right?
Yeah, he was him and Kavika were neck and neck with the different attributes that they both bring. And so he was on the alternates list, which means what this year was way gnarlier than past. Was if anybody got COVID, get them on a plane, send them out.
Yeah. You're talking to one.
Yep. Talking to one right there. And so he's right there. So that he's in the runs for the next quad.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's fun to see this kind of next generation. You mentioned that Rio was the youngest team ever, but it's fun to see like you and Kyle Enzing and Tuaniga, that he's in the mix too. It's fun to have watched you guys in college and seeing you guys like all like kind of take that next step. Yeah,
it means a lot to me that those two guys are pursued, because like I said, in the beginning of me getting exposed to volleyball, this was never a thought process. Never even like, oh, of course, every kid's dream that is in any type of sports, like I want to go to the Olympics, because everybody knows about that,
right?
But no one knows what and all that kind of stuff. But we never had any of this longevity to our plans, and it's awesome that it worked out this way.
Yeah. How was the Olympic experience? Obviously, you haven't been to one before, but this was a totally unprecedented experience in terms of Tokyo. But I know that VNL was a hell of a grind, and in Tokyo, you guys were kind of the same deal, where you're just like, you're stuck. You can't. It's just volley, you know. But but it's still the Olympic Games. I mean, how was that experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, the experience for me, on top of going from like VNL, like you said, where you're in a hotel for 38 days, don't leave. The only thing you can do is eat, sleep, drink, volleyball. Stop. Nothing but that. And so then going into the Olympics was like, okay, this is kind of like a carryover effect. We're still in quarantine, can't leave, do all this kind of stuff. We're volleyball players. That's all we are right now. There's no sightseeing. There's no anything like that. We're here for one thing and one thing only. So it kind of carried over that mindset a little bit, where it was just work. You didn't get to enjoy very much. But then of course, like you said, the stigma of the Olympic Games was overwhelming. We got there into the village. We've seen all these different countries. There's 37 buildings that are 17 stories high with all these different country flags on it and all this stuff. And there's 11,000 people walking in the village at all times, going to the dining hall and all that kind of stuff. And so it was super, super awesome to get exposed to that. But then as soon as we got to the stadium and everything like that, it was turned into a kind of a bummer, because it was like, man, it would be so much gnarlier if there was people here to share this with us.
Yeah.
And the families and all the sheer number of family members that couldn't attend was just kind of a little bit of a depressing kind of thought, because they're all, of course, they're going to watch and support, but now they're doing it from home. There could have been 4,000 of them for just USA here and all this stuff. And so the Olympics was incredible experience, but it was probably a third of what it could have been.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still just setting the stage for Paris. That's it.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
And I know you said you didn't like build up the Olympics beforehand. Wait, trying to you were trying to cut in. I think he's frozen again.
He's frozen.
Yeah, you mentioned
Go ahead.
You mentioned that you hadn't like built up the Olympics beforehand. Now that you've been to the Olympics, like now, are you looking to Paris a little bit more than you had been looking towards Tokyo, now that like you know what the Olympics is like? I mean, sort of, it's a different Olympic experience, but you know what it's like to be carrying that national team flag on the highest stage. So now are you looking at Paris like a little bit different than you might have looked at Tokyo?
One of the things that I've always taken with the drink of volleyball is my only next thought is my next endeavor. So that means for me, I'm not really thinking about Paris, because I know things can hit the fan real fast.
Oh yeah.
Like just take Aaron Russell's case. He was ready to go off a great Olympics in Rio, all this stuff, having, year after year of just increasing his worth, increasing his net. and then something hits, out. It's like, so my next thing that I'm the biggest worried about for me is my next pro season in Poland, what that's going to look like for me.
Yeah.
Because anything can happen. I can have a bad setter and the setter takes a contract and all this kind of stuff. And then my game goes down, or I can forget how to pass for 9 months. And then it just kind of, and I have to start from the bottom. You know, there's so many different things that could potentially happen that the biggest thing on my mind is this next season, because if I continue to grow my worth and grow my stock and all this kind of stuff, my ability to play the game of volleyball, then I will put myself in the best position for repairs.
Yeah.
And so that'll be a thought when it comes, but until then we got another mission.
Yeah. Well, I can't see it happening, but if for some reason you forget how to pass for 9 months, I think you'd have no shortage of offers from people asking you to play beach.
Yeah, that'll be the resort, 100%.
What in your mind, what is just when you look at your entire career, do you see beach volleyball potentially being in there, up to the point where you retire and fully stop playing as a whole?
100%. 100%. And one of the biggest things that I had to fight with over the last year and a half, 18, 19 months, whatever it was, dealing with COVID, was like, why am I doing this, sacrificing all this time, being in lockdown, being in a place I can't do anything, I can't go experience this country, anything like that, playing the game of volleyball. But I lost 9 months of my nieces and nephews' life. I lost 9 months of my parents' life, all this stuff, not getting really to experience all this stuff. I'm sitting in the room, I can't leave, reading books and eating food nonstop. At what point is it going to be my worth for me to just go play beach?
Yeah.
When am I going to draw that line? And so that was a big thought the last year and a half, whatever. It's like, okay, if I have to go through another year of this stuff where I got locked down, I got quarantine, I got potential league shutdowns, league pauses, all that kind of stuff. It's like, man, I'm good. I'll talk to my agent 2 weeks from now. I'm good. I'm gonna go home, spend time with my family, go back on the beach, and be able to have some leisure, And so 100% beach is in my future. I just don't know when, where, or how yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. I mean, I'm fully on board with the take it 1 year and whatever's ahead of you. Take it 1 year at a time. Obviously, like Aaron, I missed some time too. And yeah, it's like, why am I thinking about Paris when I don't know? Maybe I'll take up gardening or something.
Yeah. Who knows?
Right now, I want to play volleyball. I want to play Chicago, but who knows beyond that?
Yeah.
I think that's a healthy mindset too, by the way. Based on my experience, but also, I talk to guys in the national team all the time. Obviously, I have some good friends on the team, and not everybody thinks about beach and just like, yep, I'm going to step out there and make it my career when I want to.
Yeah.
Most of those guys, including I would guess like Matt Anderson and guys that don't have that as much experience, wouldn't just assume that they can step out and just ball. But obviously you have that confidence. And obviously it comes from because you started playing beach. I grew up playing beach and indoor. So I knew that when I stepped from the sand to indoor, I'm playing a different sport. Whereas I don't think other people understand that. They try to play indoor when they come to beach and it just blows up on them.
Yeah.
You feel like you got that confidence just you have that experience, or is that just the TJ DeFalco swag right there?
I don't think it's a swag. I don't think that's part of my mantra. I think it's more not that I started with beach, but then I've also kind of maintained the indoor beach relationship throughout a good section of my career. Throughout all of high school was indoor for 5-6 months, straight to the beach. Indoor 5-6 months, straight to the beach. And I was always riding that wave of, like you said, transitioning the mind from two different sports, because it is entirely different. And I did that as much as I possibly could. And then just the time that I was able to spend on the beach got less and less and less as the national team exposure got more and more and more. So that's more one of the reasons why I'm like absolutely gonna return to the beach. Just don't know when, how, or why yet, but it will happen eventually.
Yeah. Love it. I mean, we could tell, when someone's got it. How was your experience in Manhattan, and you feel like it changed anything, or like solidified in your head like what you're capable of and whatnot? Obviously you're not supposed to win with a small defender and blah, 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 just jumping on the court with someone. But how was that experience?
The experience was nice little eye opener that I'm not, one of the better ones on the beach that I got. That's, like you said, the whole different sport. But it was a nice little rude awakening of like, dude, you don't play this sport. Get out on the sand, run your laps, run your sprints, get out as much as you can, move, and you're still slowish as all get out because you don't play this sport. And so I had to cram as much sand exposure as I could into the 2.5 days we practiced before Friday, to try to make sure that I was in some sort of good standing to hold up not only the mindset that people had about me, or was also playing with Nick Lucena. It's like, if that guy is calling me up, I got to have something to offer. I can't just walk out there and think I'm playing indoor still.
Yeah.
So
how was it playing with Nick? Like, just, did you have a relationship with him before that?
I talked to him 8 words before that. I asked him how the match went in Tokyo, and I said, good luck. That was it. And Fuerbs connected us because I guess Nick reached out to Fuerbs and said, you got to find me somebody, something like that. And then he texted me on Monday morning, like, hey, you want to play? I was like, what? Who's this? And he's like, oh, it's Nick. I was like, oh my goodness, of course. Kind of thing.
I'm surprised Fuerbs didn't take that call, but yeah, I got a guy for you. Me.
Where's my call?
The last time he came out for a one-off, it was Manhattan, and he won it.
Yeah, that was incredible. That guy can do it all.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that changed your post-Olympic plans pretty quick then. I'm sure you had a nice leisurely week at home planned, and then, Nick Lucena's calling, so might as well play Manhattan.
Yeah, it worked out. I was like, all right, I guess. Cool, we'll fit it in.
Yeah. your few days off a year that you get to not play volleyball, you got to go play in a pro event.
Yeah. Circumstances led. It was perfect. The perfect situation. Not indoor. I get to go, reach the other side of my game a little bit. It was everything lined out perfectly.
You see yourself as more of a blocker or defender, or either, or split on the beach?
If I were, when that time comes to transition, I'm gonna be a defender.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember Nick came to the gym, after you guys first practice or whatever, and he's like, I thought he was like 6'5", 6'6". Like 6'3", what the hell?
Yeah, I understand.
I think he can jump. It's all good. By the way, how tall is Taylor Sander?
I believe he's pretty close to the same height as me, 6'4.5", 6'5", something like that.
Okay, yeah.
That's all also in shoes. So.
Yeah, exactly. I think the beach measurements are a little different for sure.
Yeah.
You got the shoe measurements. I remember being next to Taylor, like, damn, you look taller. I thought you were taller. Yeah, we're talking by an inch, but that kind of makes a big difference at every level.
Definitely does.
Yeah.
Love it.
It looked like you and Nick had an absolute blast. I mean, I loved him opening up. First point of your guys' first match, just hitting a sky ball against Billy and Andy and just setting the tone for how that weekend was going to be. And it's like, because you guys were obviously, like, you played great. I mean, you took Billy and Andy to 3. Great. One of the most entertaining matches. And then, like, you guys played really well, but it looked like it was just like a perfect vibe between you guys. Just like, we're going to have some fun. We're going to play some really good volleyball, and we're going to entertain some people today.
Yeah, that was the main, because I was all worried in the beginning in those practice days. I was like, oh crap, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to hold up my end of the bargain, all this kind of stuff. And then he kept insisting. He's like, dude, we're fine. We're on a slow climb. We're going to go out and have a great time. We're going to have some fun. Whatever happens is going to happen, and we're just going to do our thing. I was like, I love it. I'm absolutely 100% for it. And we went out and just had some fun, and just lived every single point as much as best we could. And it was a great time.
That's a rough draw to start out, that team's been on a hot streak for sure. They should have beat me and Trev out in Atlanta, and then they gave everyone a run for their money in Manhattan. So, like, for the first team you got to play is one of the hotter teams on tour. You guys did pretty damn well.
Yeah.
Playing together.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all around, zero expectations for the whole weekend, and just kind of that was our mantra. And it turned out it was just a great time. That's all that mattered the whole time.
Yeah. Nick is one of the greatest people that you'll meet. You know, like he'll fully flip the switch and be the most intense psycho person ever. Like on the court, you know, you don't want to be an opponent that's coming at him or a ref that made a wrong call when it comes to Nick.
Yeah.
But in terms of being his teammate, like that guy is so positive and such a good teammate. And I mean, I personally think he's kept Phil's career alive for probably 4 years longer than 5 than it would have been if Phil was with anybody else.
Yeah.
Just because his energy.
Yeah, he's a fantastic human being, and I didn't really know what to expect, but I knew the age and the veteran status and the seasoned vet, I guess would be the best way to. And so I kind of took in a little bit of that mindset back when I was 17 about going into that Olympic year, Jim. It's like, I'm just going to kind of do my thing. I'll be quiet and I'm just going to play some volleyball. And then he came out and super external and all this stuff, and you know, talking me up and having these compliments and engaging. And I was like, this is completely different than what I thought. Of course, the like I said, I made the wrong guess, wrong assumption, but I mean, it was incredible. Going out there in practices and having funs and laughs and, you know, celebrations, even in practice and stuff was remarkable. And it was all stemming from him, because I wasn't going to be the first one to do it. Right. I wasn't going to be the first one to get out there, scream my head off and celebrate and do all this stuff, because I'm in no position to do that.
You hit a sky ball first serve. You just hit a sky ball.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd hit it over the stands backwards. Like I just.
It looked like a fun weekend. Pretty good first beach event since what, 2017? Manhattan was your last one?
2016.
2016. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
5 years. I played in my last tournament was the Manhattan Open, and I lost first round of the qualifier.
Yeah. Not really your fault. Tough situation.
It was, all around, but all good.
Yeah. But it was good to have you back on the beach for the weekend. You added a lot of flavor to Manhattan. It was fun to watch, man.
Yeah, thank you. That is all around. Everything that happened worked out for a reason, so it was all good.
So if you had to guess, we've heard Sanders likes beach, you like beach, Micah Ma'a likes beach. Who else? Who else would you say you would, or who else would you not be surprised if they made the switch to beach at some point in their career from indoor?
I think you named about all the guys that I would expect.
Okay.
Trying to put the bug in a little bit in Kyle Ensing's ear, just a little bit, because I know I went on a youth trip with him back in 15, maybe 14, something like that. We went to Portugal and played with the youth, U19 youth or whatnot. So I'm kind of trying to put it in his ear a little bit, because if he was a 6'7", 6'8" blocker on the sand, and I'll just dig around him and he just sets.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good to me. We're on the same page. We're going to kind of ride that wave together. It's like, I don't know. It could be, you know.
There's usually a lack of blockers.
Yeah.
Usually not a lack of defenders. So yeah, for sure. What about your beach with him? Was he ever?
Could you repeat the question real quick? Maybe when you get back to service.
Am I back?
You're back, I think. Yeah, you're back.
What about your boy Josh?
I think our childhood beach experience is about it for him.
Oh, I got it.
Really?
I think he's gonna ride the indoor wave as long as he can, and then I think that'll be it.
Got you.
Yeah.
Kavika, I always wondered. Kavika's always been talking about. He's a fan of it.
Yeah. I could see him being out there and getting some youngster to come out and do 80% of the work, but
Sounds like a veteran.
That's old. That's right. You're into the core.
Love it. All right. Well, I'm just trying to keep I'm trying to stay ahead of the game here. So, what's going on before it happens?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Well,
Beauty of the beach.
yeah. Thanks. Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it. And it was good to see you back in the South Bay for at least a week. And I know it's a quick turnaround for you before you're back overseas again. So we appreciate your time.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for reaching out and getting this all worked out. This is awesome. Love talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Well, good luck. Good luck out in Poland. And next time you're back in the South Bay, you'll have no shortage of requests for people to be playing. So
I love it. I set myself up good.
You did. Guys, you done good, TJ. All right, boys. Shoots.
All right, boys. Later.
Later.
Shoots.